short fuse, about a girl. I was living in Israel for 8.5 months and was now on my 4th job. I was already an experienced shoe fitter, babysitter, and medical biller. She tried a lot of different work. My new job was with a cell phone company, working my way through a long list of people who had outstanding balances, owing the cell phone company money in Israel. She was an American. They gave me a narrative. I had to read the script. Hi, this is Leah from Mobile Plus, and I'm calling about an account you opened last year. You have a balance that needs to be paid up. Now, listen to this. Interesting psychology. I learned more on the job about people and personalities than any college psychology major could have ever taught me. I even had many of my customers categorized into 3 types. I figured them out already. Right? Type A was the category the customer I liked best. These are people who don't even listen to what you're saying or why they owe the money. Sure, Miss Type A would say as soon as I finished, charge the balance to my credit card. That's a great customer. No problems, no problem, right? She would then thank me as if I was depositing all that money into her bank account. I wish I had all Type A's. Type A's are a rare breed, but they're wonderful to talk to. So Type A is a customer, sure, no problem, charge my credit card. I'm so sorry about the fact that I owe you money. Type B was more common, but they were also simple to deal with. People in this category would hear me out and ask me some questions. They would reluctantly, okay, I'll pay you. Or call me back. While they took up more of my time, there was no complaining after the conversation. Most of the general population is in Type B. By contrast, now we go to Group 3, Type C. Type C were a nightmare to deal with, right? The C's would begin their diatribe as soon as the word outstanding balance left my mouth, right? And they would tune up the volume, start to scream, turn red, neck veins would bulge, right? These people hated to owe anyone money, and if they did, it wasn't their fault, it was your fault, right? You couldn't talk to them logic, and the conversation would sometimes become threatening, right? If you ever call them again. Thank God, Type C's were very infrequent. And one day I came into work, and I was surprised to see my cousin Yossi, was on my list. He owed money to the cell phone company. This is a girl. I knew that he was learning in yeshiva in Israel, but I wasn't very close with him. He was several years younger than me, and we had lived in different states in America. I didn't think he'd recognize my voice, but just in case, I used my middle name in making the call. I dialed his number, and he picked up the second ring. Hi, my name is Sarah from Mobile Plus, and I'm calling about an account you opened with us last year. You have a current balance that needs to be paid. Suddenly he cuts me off with words that sent shivers up my spine. Who is this? My cousin said in a tone so icy and chilling that I almost wanted to slam the phone and hang up on. How dare you call me with such an absurd claim? I don't owe you a penny. I don't owe a penny to your pathetic company. What nerve you have. I mean, if I owe you money, that's not my problem. What kind of business suddenly wakes up and finds out that they owe you money a year later and tries to come to collect it? It's your problem, your fault. Don't you ever call me again or I'll sue. That's her first cousin. Just listen to what happens. The call was disconnected, and I was shaking when I put the receiver down. I was in shock as I tried to wrap my head around, what did just happen to me? Has she clearly had an anger management problem that needed to be dealt with? But I felt uncomfortable bringing it up to his parents. Not only would it be terribly awkward, but they were probably well aware of the problem and would only be embarrassed and not to tell my uncle. Besides, it was none of my business, so I decided I'm not doing anything about it. And after a few minutes, I went on to the next name on my list. From time to time, I think back to that story and hope that he was getting help with his explosive temper. I would think of his future wife and shudder at the difficult life she was destined to lead if my cousin didn't learn to take care of his anger problems. 6 months later, I called my good friend, Judy, to catch up on our lives. Judy and I went back as far as elementary school. She even grew up on my block. Our parents were friendly as well. Leah, you won't believe this. I can't hold it in any longer. I have to share this secret with you. My sister Shifi is seriously dating your cousin Heshi. Hashem is amazing in the way He runs the world. Everything is done to precision. My parents heard such wonderful things about your cousin. Isn't that amazing? She said. We're going to be family now. Shifi was Judy's younger sister, an adorable, petite, sweet little girl who was as threatening as a cream puff. That's how delicate this girl was. A good-natured soul, always had a smile on her face, and was always bubbly. My mind swirled. I barely managed to make it through the rest of the conversation, thinking that my cousin, this tyrant Heshi, was going to be her husband. I twisted and turned that night in bed, unable to fall asleep. How could anyone have thought that explosive Heshi and sweet as sugar Shifi would make a match? The idea was wrong. But what should I do? Should I pick up a phone and warn her parents? Or should I keep my mouth closed? Shifi did not deserve a boy with such a terrible temperament. But maybe he had already worked on himself to curb his unpleasant, bad temper. In any case, I rationalized after deciding not to rock the boat. Maybe our little conversation had been a rare departure. Maybe he wasn't a bad guy and just had a bad day that day. Maybe he was just having a bad day. In fact, I was disappointed with myself. Maybe I didn't give him dan l'kav zechut, give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was a good guy and he just didn't have a good day that day. A short time later, Judy called to inform me that it was official. The engagement was official. Heshi and Shifi would be getting married in 3 months. Throughout the engagement period, I worked very hard to silence that little voice inside my head and my heart that kept telling me that no one should ever sound like that on the phone, like the way he sounded. I regretted not mentioning anything to her parents before the plate was broken and the shidduch was sealed. They break the plate to seal the shidduch. But now it's too late. I prayed hard on the day of their wedding and celebrated with the two happy families. Hashem, I whispered after reciting some extra Tehillim for the new couple, please Hashem, make them happy. Please make them happy. Please help them respect each other and treat each other well and help them build a Bayis Ne'eman B'Yisrael, a wonderful Jewish home. Help me to be the mistaken one, that I hope that I made a mistake when I came to judge Heshi and his character and his anger. Because I felt it would be my fault that there would be a problem in the marriage. 2 months later, Heshi and Shifi came to Israel to live and settled in my neighborhood. As my cousin and friend of the family, I invited them over for a Shabbos meal. We had a lovely seudah, and I made an effort not to concentrate on the chemistry between the new couple. But as Shifi helped me in the kitchen between courses, I looked at the lines and the creases in her head. I saw the dimness in her eyes. I saw that her eyes were more dim than I ever remembered them to be. I saw the lack of happiness in her face. I saw that this life had been sucked out of her. A dark shadow had settled upon her, and that spark was now extinguished and gone. That night, as I lay awake, in bed awake, I wondered if keeping silent had been the right thing to do after all.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.